It's your returning champion, Elgintensity, aka Trapezius Christ, and those are contestants on Jubilee's game show, Odd One Out. In this episode, 5 feminists have to identify who's pretending to fit in with them. If they vote out the mole, then they split the prize money and finally earn some dividends on their gender studies degrees. Otherwise, the mole woke fishes his way to a bag instead of a date. Let's see who wins this game of San Francisco squares.
What would you say is the most feminist thing about yourself?
I believe women should be paid the same across the board, not just white women, but women of color. You can't be a person of color and not believe that women should have the same rights as I, as a black person. So that's why I'm a feminist. And I believe that feminism is about women being equal, period.
Period. No qualifiers. An NBA player should get the same split as a WNBA player who can't touch the rim and sends the ball to an empty seat.
Yeah. For me, it's just like uplifting women's voices for women's rights. I think like a good thing for us to start, like, how do you guys define feminism?
Like an advocacy for equity in the institutions for women, right? Not just in the economy and society, but also in government and other positions of power.
Like I looked over and I saw, like, not to hate anyone that wears running shoes, but like I saw the running shoes and I just assumed. I think that's just like a trope that like a lot of like anti-feminists, like right-wingers, dress more for comfort than style.
Nobody thinks that. Drag queens wear high heels yet look too comfortable reading stories to little kids. Also, you shouldn't wear a giant vest with your arms exposed unless you're trying to float in the kiddie pool. Hopefully Sweeney's never dressed for that occasion. Besides, both of them are wearing sneakers, as is the Chungus on the left. When I look at her, I don't see a right-winger, I see a bingo winger.
My eye immediately went to Emma. I was like, that very much could be a conservative woman in this group, just based on her outfit. It was a great outfit. She looked great.
Today I learned that it's anti-feminist for a woman to look like a woman. It's not anti-algorithm though. The original thumbnail for this video featured Emmett, while the current one features Emma because it'll get more clicks. When you're a woman who looks like Waldo, you're probably used to being hidden.
You said something about agreeing with women no matter what they do. Like, I fully disagree. I feel like feminism, you have to hold women accountable. Like, there are women like J.K. Rowling who like leading and spearheading a transphobia movement in the UK, and you can't like hide behind feminism when you were literally hurting women.
That NPC looks so much like the main character that I assumed she was a fan. Also, Bible thumpers tried to cancel Rowling a long time ago and nothing happened. Good luck stopping a book about wizardry when feminists practice a form of shape-shifting.
What do you usually do in instances where you're like shot down by a man in power, you could say?
Well, nowadays it's different.
Okay.
If I was saying a few years ago, I would just kind of like rebuttal and...
Recoil? That feel when she can remember her pronouns but not her verbs.
Yeah, allow a platform for women to speak, let their voices be heard, because that's the most effective way to dismantle ignorance.
We now turn to the most effective way to dismantle a chair.
His speech seemed very practiced or thought out. It didn't seem natural.
In the original video, she spoke the least up to this point, and she's criticizing someone's contribution as being unnatural. At least she passes her own test, because there's nothing more natural than a porker being lazy.
I think also just putting women in leadership at my work, all of leadership is all women.
Yeah.
And I feel the safest there compared to other workplaces where I've been kind of like duking it out with the boss man kind of thing.
I don't believe her, because punching is prohibited in sumo. Also, her shirt says women are magic. In an office full of women who never argue, that magic must be silencio.
My bosses are all women too. And
Of course.
I will say that traditionally I have had issues with women being my boss, but as
You hate to see a strong woman.
As
That's what
I've
you're
grown,
saying.
He said he had issues. That she-man wanted to dwell in the past with the dog like Sherman.
as I've grown, and educationally,
Yeah.
now that I know women's roles, and so I agree with you with that assessment that women in leadership, it is just something about it. I feel safer too.
In other words, they took a dude built like Uncle Phil and broke him down like Will Smith.
I think when people tend to use a lot of dictionary definitions, they were either studying up on it. I mean, you don't have to go Merriam-Webster on us and trying to explain it.
Here's a dictionary word, misnomer, because his name is Kenyon. Jubilee's next show should be called 5 Editors and 1 Secret Anti-Editor.
You know, Emma, she's a little too comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Easy on the big words, Eric. Comfortable yet uncomfortable makes about as much sense as her testicles, but I don't mean to go Grey's Anatomy on you.
I want to expand on what you said. I'm wondering how you guys feel about trans women in women's sports.
I'm down for it.
I'm a trans person myself, and I think
No.
the root of that problem tends to stem with we're protecting children, but you can't say you're protecting children if you're kicking out trans children.
The controversy surrounds trans women who have considerable biological advantages by growing up male, even after hormone therapy. No trans athletes being excluded, just placed in the right division. Even if you remove all the trans female athletes from a team, there really is no missing woman like Carly Russell.
That's one of my biggest problems with modern day feminism is that it tends to center rich cis-het white women, and I'm like, that's weird.
No.
Except they spent about half of the show about feminism defending men claiming to be women. Their immediate challenge is to identify the mole, but their long-term one is to identify a male.
Well, yeah, I just want to see, because I was wondering, I don't know how the casting works. I don't know if there's any turfs or swerfs in the group, because I don't determine that to be feminism.
Slay.
That's not quite what 41% of them do.
I have no problem about sports and stuff, but I also don't want to silence the J.K. Rowlings of the world, because I believe in democracy, and I believe to know your enemy, I want them to speak. That's how they used to do things in the old days. That's what the KKK does. They hide their face.
Sure.
I want to know who they are, and I want them to speak freely so you know who the enemy is.
Sometimes they get a little violent though, and it turns into other things.
I think I understand what you mean. Like you agree with free speech, but not to the point where it should restrict someone else. Like you don't have
No, but I definitely want the J.K. Rowlings and the Marjorie Taylor Greens to talk. I want them to talk because I want to know who they are.
They sound so stupid.
Well, stupid, but you also want to know who they are.
What they're trying to say is that their identities revolve around victimhood. It's the same reason DSP would rather beg than earn easy podcast money. Never be like DSP.
I feel like I don't have a clear answer because with kids, when you talk about kids doing it, I don't think with children, I think everyone should, everyone's the same, they have the same strengths and everything like that, but... Yeah,
doing hair. But once dudes put their wigs on, they leave girls in the dust.
I think in professional sporting situations, I might need to educate myself more on this, so this might be what I need to come out of today and do, but I think trans women still have more strength than women, but even saying that, they're women, but I feel like it's not even exactly.
She compared trans women to women, referring to cis women as the women, and kind of then referring to trans women as not women. I was like, oh, it might be her.
Right, because wanting a level playing field is anti-feminist. I know snap judgments are part of the game, but they should make sense or else someone might vote off the wrong contestant. That X-Man sparkle energy could ruin Jubilee's game, and I don't mean superpowers.
They have an advantage, you would say?
Yeah, a slight advantage.
So you might be against it, maybe?
I mean, see, I don't want to say that though, because then I'm not really supporting all women.
Okay.
But,
So if it's professional, let's be honest. If you're good, you're good. I think if a transgender woman went up to play tennis against Serena Williams, and it's a transgender woman, she'd probably more than likely lose.
At the 1998 Australian Open, 203rd ranked German Karsten Brosch beat Serena Williams and Venus Williams back-to-back. The only difference between him and a trans woman is his sanity. They weren't playing for high stakes, but Brosch outplayed them so much that when the Williams sisters issued a challenge to a male tennis player again, they revised the ranking requirement from 200 to 350. These contestants are clueless even by feminist standards. Asking them about fairness in sports is like asking trans women about period cramps.
It's a regulated thing, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and a lot of times, let's just call it what it is. It's about people's religion. It's about your ideology, your religion.
Yeah.
And which, again, has no place in.
They're shielding their hate.
Yeah, because Jesus said so.
More like science says so. Stevie's dad from Malcolm in the Middle never read a biology textbook to the end.
Good luck.
If you don't unconditionally accept trans women, then you can't be a feminist, or a judge at the Miss Universe Netherlands.
3,
That's good.
2, 1.
Let's go. Oh,
There is no mole.
Yeah, checks out.
my bad.
I'm so sorry. I just knew it was you.
First impressions, right?
So here's the thing. The mole actually never showed up, but we still wanted you all to play the game.
This was a good one.
The impostor missed out on an easy payday given how those brainlets were distracted by shoe choice and big words. Instead, the feminists finally achieved their dream of equal pay despite technically doing less work. They mentioned letting the enemy talk so that he can be identified, Considering how easily those morons dug their own holes, you should also never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. 0! Like the video and subscribe to the channel, now.